Okay, in the next couple days we're going to be working on ratios and proportions. Now we did this last year, but there's quite a bit of information on it, okay, and a lot of it's different, okay, a little bit more complicated than the first thing. So, notes. Alright, and here's what we're going to do, okay, we have to find the value of x here. This first one's pretty easy, okay. So you've got 9 over 2 equals x over 25. You're finding what x equals. Okay. Okay, now this is an easy one. This is just x is right here. There's no operations with it. So when there's no operations with it, you can just cross multiply and divide. So we multiply the two numbers we know diagonally. 9 times 25, then we divide whatever that is by 2. 9 times 25 divided by 2. That's pretty easy. Okay, 112.5. Now the next one I would go down here, okay, because it's a lot more complicated. We have 3 over 3x plus 4 equals 2 over x minus 4. Alright, now here's the problem here. You can't cross multiply and divide because we don't, we have a problem. We have two x's. That's the first problem. The second problem is that x has an operation. It has a times 3 and a plus 4. This x has a minus 4. I'd go plus negative on it. Okay. So if we can't cross multiply and divide, if that's not going to work out, then we label this A and then go diagonal, and that's B. Then C, D. Then you come over here, you make two sets of parentheses on each side, okay? Equals with two sets of parentheses. A times B, C times D. Okay, if I take A times B, that's always equal to C times D, because watch this, don't write it, but watch. 1/2 and 3/6 are equal. They're both equal. If you get 1 out of 2 on a test, it's 50%. 3 out of 6 is 50%. Well, what happens if you take A times B? 1 times 6 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. So that's why that's always going to work, is because A times B in a proportion is always equal to C times D, two equal fractions or ratios. So A we have 3, and B we have x plus negative 4. And then C we have 2, D we have 3x plus 4. Now obviously now we have to get rid of the parentheses. So I put a 1 in front of the x, and the 3 is all by itself, so I distribute the 3. And I'm going to take 3 and 3, first times the 1x, and then times our negative 4. So 3 times 1x is 3x, 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. So over here I now put 3x plus negative 12. Now I have to do the other side. 2 is by itself, so I distribute the 2. So I got 2 and 2. And I'm going to times by 3x, and then I'm going to times by 4. So 2 times 3x is 6x, 2 times 4 is 8. So on that side I put 6x plus 8. Now I solve it like a normal equation. Okay? X is on both sides, so we had to mark out the smaller one and get rid of it. So minus 3x minus 3x. Negative 12. 6 minus 3 is 3x, and then plus 8. All goes up, dot circle. Minus 8, minus 8. Negative 12 minus 8 is negative 20. Then I divide by 3, and I'll have my answer. Okay, negative 6.67, okay? Or negative 6.6 repeating, just put. Okay, now, that's that. Now the percent problems. What is 63% of 150? Now there's something we use to solve percent problems. We set up two equal ratios and we put the percent over 100%, always 100% because that's a total for the percent, okay? Then is over of. So we fill in our percent blank first. Our percent is 63%. Then find the word of and tell me what comes after it. Well, 150, so I know the of, so I don't know the is. So I cross multiply and divide now. Okay. I take 63 times 150 divided by 100, and that's 94.5. Okay, number 4, same idea. 150% of what number is 34? Okay, what percent do you have in the problem? 150. Go find the word of, what comes after it. Well, after of it says what number. So when it says what number after of, that means x is of, and then is 34. And we cross multiply and divide. 100 times 34 divided by 150. 22.6 repeating. Okay, number 5. What percent of 32 is 40? Is over of. Okay, the percent we don't have. It says what percent. So x is what we percent. Now go find of. You don't always just put the bigger number on bottom. I mean, a lot of times you do, but not on this one because after of it says 32. So 40 goes here. Now 40 is bigger than 32. So over here I'm expecting to get an answer bigger than 100. So they match up. So I take 100 times 40 divided by 32. 125. Put a percent sign on that. When x is the percent, you need to put the percent sign on your answer. Okay, number 6. Convert 45 pounds to ounces. There's 16 ounces in 1 pound. Now to convert units, you can also use proportion. Okay. On the first ratio and the proportion, I use 16 ounces, 1 pound, and label them. Okay. And over here, the labels match up in the same order. Well, what do we have? We have 45 pounds, but we don't know the ounces. So I put question mark or an X or whatever. So I take 16 times 45 divided by 1. Gives me 720. Okay. 720 ounces. Solved. Okay, next one. I'm not going to make the boxes because when I get to the story problems, I want to go to a different page. So I'm just going to do number 7. Now these triangles are the same shape, they're just different sizes, okay? So they're similar. So we should be able to solve for x right there, okay? 7.5 and 18, this is 5 and x. So we line up the proportions. And what you're going to do, you're going to just put 7.5 over 18. You can also put 18 over 7.5. It doesn't matter. Okay, the first one, the order doesn't matter. 7.5, 18. Now, what side matches up with 7.5? Well, it'd be 5. And then x matches up with the 18, so then I can cross multiply and divide. I can take 18 times 5 divided by 7.5, and I got 12. Okay. Now I'm going to go to story problems. Okay. Remember, you want to leave half of a. Actually, I can do it over here because I can make half. You want to go into half pages when you do story problems, unless I tell you differently. Okay, in the first 4 games of the season in X's games, a soccer team scored 10 goals, which is Y. Because goals in games, there's no money, there's no time in it. It would be confusing to know which one's X, which one's Y. So I helped you out there, and I'll do that sometimes if I think the unit label, if I think the X and Y, which one's X, which one's Y, if I think that's going to be confusing. If this trend continues, how many goals will the team score in the 18 remaining games of the season? So we're finding goals. Okay, so make the first box, games and goals. Remember, I told you X is games, Y is goals. So per, remember, you want to put the Y unit on top of per and the X unit on bottom. Goals per game. Here's the problem. They did not give us the goals per game, so I'm going to put a little question mark there. So make your table just like normal, even though you don't know that. And here's how you need to do your table now. Since you don't know that, here's what you need to do. X is games, Y is goals. Don't do the 0, 1, 2, okay? You can only do the 0, 1, 2 if you know the per. It's the only time that's going to work. We don't know that, so here's what I'm going to do. Block off the top, okay? I'll explain what that's for here in a bit. And fill in the information from the problem. 4 games and 10 goals are in the same sentence, so 4 goes with 10, okay? And I have to find 18 games, and I don't know how many goals, so put question mark. Now I want you to go up here, and I want you to put a 0 there. If you played 0 games, how many goals would you score? Think about it. Well, 0. So when I start the table off with 0, 0, I don't make the line because there's nothing to put at the beginning because it's 0 right there. So then I make a proportion, okay? Now, you want to put the X word on the bottom. X on bottom. Games, goals. Goals, games, goals, games. Well, we know 4 games is with 10 goals. We need to find out 18 games, how many goals. You can put a question mark or X. So cross multiply and divide. 10 times 18 divided by 4. Okay, 45. Solved. Okay, next one, number 9. I can paint 3 statues in 20 minutes. My friend can paint 1 statue in 10 minutes. How long will it take us to paint 12 that should say statues there. I misspelled it. Statues. Working together. Minutes equals. Okay, same idea. Go statues, minutes, therefore. Okay, X is minutes, X is always time, Y is statues. So statues per minute. Okay, we don't know the statues per minute. Okay. Now, here's the thing. You need 2 tables because there are 2 people, me and my friend. So I need 2 tables. Okay. So put XY, minutes, statues. Minutes, statues. Now again, you can't do the 0, 1, 2. Okay, so you block off the top part and you put in, so the first person you can do 3 statues in 20 minutes. Put the numbers where they go. And the other person can do 1 statue in 10 minutes. Now it says, how long will it take us to paint 12 statues working together? Well, put the 12 in the middle because you're working together. Okay, 12 statues. Now think about it. If you work 0 minutes, how many statues would you paint? 0, 0, 0. So I don't make 2 lines because I start at 0 here and I start at 0 here, right where my pencil's pointing. So make your proportions. But since you have 2 tables, you need to add a 3rd ratio in the proportion. Remember to put the X on the bottom. So minutes, 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 all of them. And then statues, statues, statues. So 3 statues, 20 minutes. 1 statue, 10 minutes. we need to do 12 statues, and I don't know how many minutes it takes. Now, you got to add the 3/20ths plus 1/10, okay, on a calculator. You're not ready to cross multiply and divide yet. 3ABC 20 plus 1ABC 10. Okay, that's 1/4. Then 12 over question mark, or x, cross multiply and divide. 4 times 12 divided by 1, that's 48. 48 minutes. Okay, number 10. 4/7 of all animals in the park were birds. If there are 200 birds, how many animals were there? Now, you're going right into a proportion when you have a fraction. You're going to put 4/7. You're not going to make boxes, anything like that, okay? With fractions and percents, yeah, we go with this. Now, here's how you label here so you know what to put where. The bottom of a fraction is your total, and the top is what I put in bold, were birds. That's your ratio, okay? How many birds did we have? We have 200, okay? So we don't know the total. So cross multiply and divide. 350. Okay, number 10. Or number 11, my bad. A racer has completed 5% of his race. If he has completed 10 laps, how many laps does the race have? Okay. All right, now it's a percent problem. Now, one thing, these two are totally different, okay? This has the word up. It insinuates plus 12%. We don't have a word like that in here. So when we don't have a word like up or down, we're going to use our proportions. But it's like the last problem, except 100% now is your bottom. That's your total. Okay, 5% is the top. Now, what's the 5% stand for? It says he's completed. So how many laps has this guy completed? Well, he's completed 10. Okay. How many laps are there total? Don't know. So we take 100 times 10 divided by 5, and that's 200. Laps. Okay, number 12. A watch that used to cost $89.99 is marked up 12%. Find the price of the watch after it's been marked up in price. That word up means we're not going to use the ratios. You're going to use this little formula here. It's called it's change in percent, because up would be plus 12%. It's before times percent equals after. Now, what do I have in bold here? I have after. So that's what we don't know. Find the price of the watch after it's been marked up in price. So I put a question mark above after. So the before must be the $89.99. Okay. Before times percent equals after. Now, what about the percent? Well, you have to do something. You don't just put 12%. You don't just put 12. Here's what you have to do. You take 100% and you add 12 to it because it's up. If it's down, you minus 12. So 100 plus 12 is 112%. Then you need to make it a decimal by simply putting a decimal at the end and moving it twice to the left. Okay, 1.12. Okay, now we have our equation. 89.99 times 1.12 equals question mark. So that's what I don't know, though. You can put x there if you want. X is already by itself. We just have to figure out the other side. 89.99 times 1.12. 100.78. You can either go 100.78 or 100.79. So it's $100. And either 78 or 79 is good. So when you see that word, going from there. Okay, number 13. Last one. Two cars travel for the same amount of time. The first car travels 80 miles per hour. The second car travels 75 miles per hour. If the faster car travels 40 miles further, find the distance traveled by each car. So there's two answers. So I'm just going to put it down here since it's miles equals blank and blank. Okay? Just copy down what I put there. Now, when you're talking about speed of car, speed of anything, you want to make this chart. Okay? You split it down the middle, and you put over here fast and slow. In this box, you put speed, distance, time. Speed is the miles per hour. We know that. We know the fast is 80, the slow is 75. Not that 75 is slow, but it's slower than 85. Now, what do you know about the distance? That's the miles they travel, okay? So you know speed is your miles per hour. Distance is just your miles without the per hour. Well, it says the faster car travels 40 miles further. Well, what I did do, further means more, okay? I put a plus 40 here. The one with the higher speed goes 40 more miles. But we don't know the distance, so we put x plus 40 and x. Then what about the times? Well, we know that the times are the same amount of time, okay? So the times are equal. One thing you can do to represent time, time is distance divided by speed, okay? Distance divided by speed. So what's the distance here? Well, it's x plus 40. What's the speed here? It's 80. What's the distance here? X. What's the speed? 75. Now, set them equal to each other and you have made a proportion out of it. X plus 40 over 80 equals X over 75. Now, you can't just cross multiply and divide, so you have to go to your plan B. When you can't cross multiply and divide, you go A, B, C, D. Make your equals with two parentheses on each side. Okay? A times B, C times D. So A is X plus 40. Put the 1 in front. B is 75. C is X. D is 80. Okay, I'm going to distribute here. Okay, the 75 is all by itself. Okay, so I've got 75, 75. I'm going to take it times 1x and then times 40. 75 times 1x is 75x. 75 times 40 is 3,000. Okay, then over here you just take 80 at 1x times 80, it's 80x. Now you got two x's on opposite sides, so mark the smaller one and get rid of it, subtract it. So 80 minus 75 is 5x, and then you got 3,000. Then walk and go up, and we just divide by 5. 3,000 divided by 5 is 600. So that's your first answer. Now the second answer is easy to find. That's 600. This is 600 plus 40. That would be 640. Okay, now I'm going to do the back side. I'm going to go through it a lot quicker. Okay, first one, we have 3 over x equals 2 over 3. This is an easy one. You just cross multiply and divide. 3 times 3 divided by 2. The answer is 4.5. Okay, now the next one I'm going to have to A, B, C, D. You can see just by looking at it, so you need two boxes where to work. So you have 2x plus 1 over x plus 2 equals 5 over 4. So A, B is diagonal, C, D is diagonal. 2 parentheses on each side. So A times B, C times D. So A is 2x plus 1, B is 4. C is 5, D is x plus 2. You need to distribute the 4 because it's by itself. So 4 times 2x times 1. It's going to be 8x and 4. So that's 8x plus 4 on that side. Then distribute your 5 times 1x times 2. So that's 5x and that's 10. Okay. Alright, you got x's on opposite sides, so mark the smaller one, minus it. You can't make your wall and dot until there's 1x. That's 3x plus 4 equals 10. Now you can make your wall, dot circle, minus 4. 10 minus 4 is 6, 3 dot x. Divide by 3, and x equals 2. Okay, next one. What is 25% of 144? So again, percents, you want to use the percent over 100%, and then is over of. Okay, so 25 is my percent. The after of, it says 144. And then x. So I cross multiply and divide. I take 25 times 144 divided by 100. 36, so x equals 36. Okay, next one. 80% of what number is 20? Is over of. So after of, it says what? So that means I don't know of. That's my x, or my question mark. Okay? By the way, the percent's 80. Do the percent first, then the of. And 20. 100 times 20 divided by 80. 25, so x equals 25. Okay, number 17. What percent of 36 is 96? So this one, we don't have the percent. It says what percent. So x, after of it says 36, and then 96. So take 100 times 96, divide by 36. 266.6 repeating. Okay, that's a percent because it's x is the percent. Okay, convert 4 meters to feet. 1 meter is 3.28 feet. So to make unit conversions, we use ratios. And on the first ratio, we put 1 meter over 3.28 feet. Okay, 4 meters, x feet. So cross multiply and divide. 3.28 times 4 divided by 1 is 13.12. Okay, similar triangles. We put 10 over 14 equals 10 is to 8, and then x is with 14. So I take 14 times 8 divided by 10. 11.2. Okay, story problem. A student can read 7 pages of a book in 10 minutes. How many pages of the book can the student read in 30 minutes? So I put pages equals down at the bottom. Okay, so first box. We have bold units, we have pages and minutes. The time is the x, the other one's the y. So it's per minute. Pages per minute, they didn't tell us, so I put question mark, and when I make my table, I got to make it differently, okay? I'm still doing the x and the y. I'm still going to put minutes and pages, but I block it off, and I put 7 with 10, 7 pages, 10 minutes. And 30 minutes, question mark pages. We don't have pages to go with it. Now, if you read for 0 minutes, you're not going to read any pages. So the line is don't make the line because the Y starts at 0, okay? So I make my proportion, okay? So put your X on bottom. You got to remember to do that. Minutes, pages, 10 minutes, 7 pages. 30 minutes. I don't know how many pages we have, so question mark or X, okay? Cross multiply and divide, we got it. 7 times 30 divided by 10. Okay, I got 21 pages. Okay, Chad and Jack are painting a house. Chad can paint 1 house in 6 hours. Jack can paint 1 house in 5 hours. If these guys want to paint 2 houses for the day, how many hours will it take? So hours equals. So in the bold we have houses and hours. Time is X, houses is Y. So houses per hour. We don't have that, so this time we need to make 2 tables though because there's 2 people. Okay. See up here there's only 1 student. So XY, XY. So you have hours for X, houses for Y. Hours, houses. Now remember, we don't have the houses per hour, so don't do the 0, 1, 2. Okay. Block it off, and in one we put 1 house in 6 hours. Remember to put them in the right column. And this other dude, he did 1 house in 5 hours. Now 2 houses, that's when they work together, so I put 2 houses in between them. Not on either table, but between them, because that's what they do together. Okay, if you work 0 hours, you get 0 houses. Same with this one. So we don't make lines, we make the proportions. Okay, you have to add a third ratio into it for the first table. Remember to put the hours on bottom. You got to put the time on the bottom on these, okay, or it doesn't work out. So we have 1 house, 6 hours. 1 house, 5 hours. We have 2 houses to do together, and we don't know the hours. So we have 2 over question mark. And then over here I need to add the fractions 1/6 plus 1/5. That's 11 over 30. Cross multiply and divide, you got it. So 30 times 2 divided by 11. Okay, you can put 5.4 or 5.5, I don't care. Okay, just round it however you want. I'm not picky about that. Okay, fraction word problems. When I see that fraction, I know right away that I'm using proportions. 1/5 of the clowns in the circus had red noses. Remember, the bottom's your total, and the top is what I have in bold, had red noses. You got to write that down. If 40 clowns had red noses, how many clowns were in the circus? So how many clowns had red noses? Well, it tells us 40. Okay, if it didn't tell us, you put the question mark here, but it tells us 40 had red noses, and I must be trying to figure out how many clowns there are total. So 5 times 40 divided by 1 is 200. So 200. 200 clowns. Okay, next one. 20% of my paycheck is spent on groceries. If I spend $300 on groceries, how much do I make in a month? Okay, do we have any words that represent plus or minus in this problem? Like here, down here I see increase, but how about here? Do you see any? No, I don't think you do, so you're going to use proportions with 100%. Okay, and we have 20%. Now again, 100's your total. 20% is the trait in the bold, is spent on groceries. Is spent on groceries. Okay, how much money is spent on groceries? Oh, okay, I know that. It's 300. Now I'm trying to figure out how much total I make. So I take 100 times 300 divided by 20, and I get 1,500. Okay, 24. A town's population has increased. That means plus, okay, by 5%. By then its population was 12,500 people. How many people were in town before the increase? All right, we can't use the 100% proportion because of that word right there, the plus. So we use before multiplied by percent equals after. So as you can see in the bold it says before, that means we don't have before. We don't know that. So then the other number, the 12,500, that's going to be the after. 12,500. Now the percent, you don't just put 5, you have to take 100% plus 5%. That's 105%. Move the decimal twice to the left, and I've got 1.05. That's what I want to use for my percent factor. Okay, now, unlike on the other side where we just times and had the answer, we can't times because we don't know what the question mark is. Okay? So you're going to divide. Okay? When you divide, you need to take 12,500. The percent goes on the bottom when you divide. Okay? That gives it to you. So instead of multiplying, you're going to divide. Make sure you put the percent on the bottom or you get an answer that's whacked out. Okay, 11,905. You don't want to put a decimal because it's people, so only a whole number would make sense. Okay, and our last one. 2 cars travel for the same amount of time. One car averages 70 miles per hour while the other car averages 60 miles per hour. If the faster car travels 140 miles further, further means plus. How many miles did each car travel? So I'm figuring out the miles. And we're talking about how fast they travel, 60 and 70. So I want to make this chart here with the fast-slow chart is what I call it, fast-slow. So speed is your miles per hour. Distance, that's just your miles without the per hour. And this is your time, which is hours. Okay, speed, I got 70 for the fast, 60 for the slow. Easy enough. The distance is miles. Now it says 140 miles further, so that would be plus 140 with the 70. You would put it with the faster car, and that's X. And this is just X without the plus 140. That's how to represent those. Okay, hours, the time. You don't know anything about them. You just know they're equal. Okay? So, time is distance, taking the distance divided by the speed. Well, I'm not actually going to divide, but so the distance is X plus 140 here, and the speed is 70. Here it's X and 60. Now we have our proportion, X plus 140 over 70 equals X over 60. They're equal because they travel for the same time. It says so in the first sentence. So I got to do the A, B, C, D. So A times B equals C times D. So A is X plus 140, put the 1 there. B is 60. C is X, put the 1, and D is 70. This side is easy. 70 times 1X is 70X. On the other side, we've got to distribute the 60 to both those numbers because when there's 3 numbers, you got to distribute. So 60 is the multiplier. That's the one all by itself. So I take 60 times 1X and 60 times 140. That gives me 60X. 60 times 140 is 8,400. Okay, wall can't go up. You got two X's here. Get rid of the smaller one by subtracting. That's 10x, and over there you got 8,400. Now the wall can go up, but you just have to divide by 10. 8,400 divided by 10 is 840. So that's your first answer. Now go up into the table, and you know that those x's are 840. And here you take 840 plus 140, which is 980.